Yeah, lights on. Stage set, no rewind. New kings rise. Legends on decline. Season 34. It's NDL GameDay time. Yeah, kind of blow, you can feel that charge. Crowd shakes when the field goes large. New wave coming home, legal watch. Every snap's fire, no time for a loss. All of the lights, it's showtime here. We waited all year just to make that clear. New blood rise at the old throne fall. It's game day now, we're taking it on. Season 34. All life. This is NDL GameDay.
What's going on, everybody? This is NDL Game Day Season 34, Block 7, heading into the last block of the season. Also, the CFP review will be on the show a little bit later today. I'm here with Penguin, Pat, and Hubbard. I'm myself as Lick. Man, we just getting back after the new year. We've had a couple weeks break from Game Day as well as kind of the NDL. Man, let's start with you, Penguin. How are your holidays? What do you guys do?
A whole bunch of nothing for the most part. Had a little Christmas with the in-laws in Tennessee, a little bit with just my family. Went to Georgia with my parents for a few, and didn't do much, and it was glorious. And Texan, the ham was spectacular. I've already made notes on how to better crisp the skin, and as we currently have 4 pigs in our garden right now, there will be more hams in the future, and I'm gonna be trying my hand at making head cheese in the next month as well.
Penguin, you're already getting compliments about the bright lights today instead of the closet. So
Wait, this
Threw
isn't
me
the
off.
this is different? Oh, okay, alright. I'm in a
Here,
real chair even.
yeah, our boy Penguin has came out of the closet, in case anyone's wondering, first
Oh,
show.
there it is, there it
Oh,
is.
there it is. Walked right into that one.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
man, Pat, how about you? How were your holidays?
Good. I went to Asheville for the first time. Went to the Biltmore. That was really fun.
Mhm.
A few days before Christmas, and then I have met a friend of a friend out here. They're a big group of Irish guys that I hang out with a lot, like from Dublin and Cork and all sorts of crazy parts of Ireland. So one of them hosted Christmas dinner over at their house. We did all that. So it was fun. And then New Year's, I didn't do anything but stream Stranger Things.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you what was your favorite thing you ate over your holiday?
Uh, they made some kind of British pie over at the dinner on Christmas, like like a not like a pot, but like a beef pie. It was very good. Yeah, it was awesome.
Nice.
What
What
about
about you?
you?
Yeah, well, so I'll skip Hubbard, okay?
That's cool. Yeah.
We went no, so my sister, brother-in-law, and my nephew from Montana came down for the week. So
I just want to know if you ate anything good, Tim. I don't care what you did with your
yeah,
family.
I did. Well, so I'm getting there. Okay, so we hosted Christmas dinner over here. We had about 45 people probably at the house. So I cooked 30 pounds of prime rib. Um, I for I normally never cook prime rib, but soaked it in buttermilk the night before for a good 24 hours and stuff, and then smoked some prime rib and stuff. So that was probably my favorite, just because I really enjoy prime rib, and I love a good green bean casserole, obviously. Yep, and so that was probably my favorite thing. My wife made a peach cobbler, which I really enjoy. Obviously, from the South and stuff, peach cobbler is amazing. But it was a good time. Obviously, get to spend time with the family and kids and stuff. And we have a 2-year-old for Christmas, so Christmas gifts and stuff are a little more fun. You start getting, I mean, you guys know how it is when you start having 15, 16, 17-year-olds. They open up 3 gifts, and then you don't see them again the rest of the day, right? They go disappear, and you don't see them anymore. So it's kind of fun seeing the younger kids open up gifts and play toys. And obviously, it was great football, right? A bunch of great football during the break. My Seahawks, number one seed and stuff. So pretty excited. What about you, Hubbard?
Yeah, no, man, we really did a lot of nothing around the house as well. All of our families close by. you talk about little kids, man. I kind of miss that. Our kids are all older. At 9:45 Christmas morning, we're like waking them up, like, "You guys gonna wake up today? We're gonna do something, whatever." And man, we it's just really been good for us to have everybody home. All three of them are gone to different colleges, and so that was kind of cool to have everybody at home this week. But man, just really, I'm kind of like you. I've been off work now for 3 weeks. I got to go back tomorrow, which kind of sucks, right? But
Boo.
yeah, for real. But I smoked a lot of meat this break, man. Okay, Pat. Yeah, I hear you.
No,
But
Penguin coming out of the
man, we
closet, Hubbard smoking meat.
no.
Like, what is going
Something funny
on?
happened in the Bears game. I promise.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but man, that was I really I was telling somebody the other day I got to cook a lot and play the game a lot. It's probably the most I've played the game in the last since school started for me, right? So it's kind of why I've gotten a little bit better. If I had about another month, maybe I'd win a game, but we'll see.
Next season will be the season of Hubbard. Don't know
Uh,
where you're going to be, but you're going to be
yeah,
a force.
it's going to be somewhere probably in the MAC or Conference USA, so I doubt that, but we'll see.
Yeah, the FCS is
Hey,
hiring.
like I said before, after
First
playing with
week of
that
the play.
Iowa offense, whoever you have next is going to be like you took a bag of rocks off your back and all of a sudden are running free.
That's 100% the truth. You're right. I agree with that. Bring on Akron. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
No, man. So it sounds like everyone had a good break. Obviously the NDL, we saw a couple breaks during the holiday and stuff. So hopefully everyone was able to enjoy time away from the league in general and spend some time with the family. I think it's kind of a mix and match, right? We have, like Hubbard talked about, being a teacher and stuff like that and having a big break during. So you have a ton of time to play the video game, right? Then you have other people who are pretty consumed during the holidays with family, with different events. Some people go different places, travel, things like that. So it's probably a 50-50, I'd say, with the league, right? Like some people want more NDL during the break. Some people need less just because of the family commitment and stuff. Yeah, so I guess the first topic is always the top 25, right? Top 25 came out. I know Penguin loves this. The top 25 poll taking a bit, and it's been a hot topic in the chat, the live chat, right? We've had a couple people that are pretty hard on, starting to, obviously now there's a way, back in the day in the NDL, people probably don't know this. We could never tell who voted for who, right? There was no report that could be ran. So you had no idea who was voting for who. Obviously, we had Ank on here several seasons ago, and he told you how he always voted was just his friends at the top, right? We still see that with different people and stuff. And so now you can see, so we've had people in the chat, RB, Weasel, people that have been calling out other people for some pretty horrible top 25 votes, right? Penguin, how's the top 24 hit with you this week?
It's kind of madness. I mean, granted, there's been a lot of chaos that's happened in recent weeks, but I mean, just to see multiple cases of stuff where like a team beat a team. Okay, like perfect example. Was it Wisconsin and Michigan? To have Michigan ahead of Wisconsin in so many polls presently is just crazy. Or the fact that you've got ECU ahead of Temple in so many polls after Temple just beat them head to head, and it's not like they beat them at the last minute while the poll voting was active. They beat them a few days before, I believe. It's just, I mean, I know there's no money on the line or anything, and people want to say, the CFP ranking is the only part that matters. Well, this stuff matters too because it affects points, people's being ranked or whatnot. And it's just, as I've said 1,000 times, it's just respectful to those who put all the work in. So, I mean, it does kind of matter. And we're just, man, it just grinds my gears to, have an overused term when people just don't do the little things like that. Or like, I mean, and I hate to give Mort crap, because he doesn't need any more bulletin board material. But to see, it's like a lot of people don't realize that he got worked pretty good by Tennessee recently with his seeing that he's like number 9 in the polls consensusly. I mean, that's sure he belongs in the mix, but it's kind of crazy to be that high after you just got run over.
Yeah, the poll is from the submissions, like 10 through 25 is going to be a mishmash of all sorts of different stuff. You have a ton of two lost teams. You have two lost teams who 1 2-loss team, it's a sim loss. 1 2-loss team, it's a blowout. One is losing on a 2-point conversion at the end of the game. So it's like, how do you weigh all that stuff? It's difficult. We'll go over a top 15 CFP that I sent to Tim, the mock one that I would think is how it went. Is going to look a little bit different than someone else's there in the middle because of how jumbled the 2-loss teams are.
Yeah, I think the frustrating thing is to go along with Penguin is it just seems like a lot of people don't pay attention to some of those things, and I don't just mean people who are just voting their friends or whatever. That's a whole different argument, right? But it's paying attention to who beats who. It's paying attention to who has. I know head to head can't always matter when it's let's say a 4-loss team beats a 1-loss team, right?
Okay,
Like
all right.
you know what I mean? Like, but when it's an undefeated team or a 1-loss team, then those things have to matter, right?
Yeah.
I know people talk about game theory, right? Like, how does the game go? How does somebody get blown out? Was it a blowout from the very beginning? Did it kind of get stupid? Did EA get involved? Right? All those things have to matter. I think my frustration is people who should be in the know have to be in the know. I think the media poll is just as maddening as the coaches poll to some extent, right? Like, and I'm calling us
100%.
out as media members. You mentioned Temple and East Carolina. East Carolina had a Temple in the media poll. Like, we should be the ones paying attention to that thing, and we know that, right?
Mhm.
I don't remember if the Buffalo Central Michigan game had happened before the poll or not, but I think it was close. Buffalo's
It
ahead of
did.
Central
It did
Michigan.
happen before.
Yeah, and they got blown out in that game, right? Like, so what are we doing here? I think as a media group, that's kind of embarrassing that we don't have that foresight. When you have 136 people, you're going to have things like that happen. But when you have a smaller group of people who are supposed to be in the know, then we have to be in the know.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
Yeah, and so someone brought up a point the other day. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that go. At least for me, there's a lot of factors that go into the poll. Some weeks I don't have any time. Like this last poll, it got kind of released at the last second and stuff, and just with my schedule and stuff, I didn't have a lot of time to do much at all with it. Right. And I know that that's a scenario with some other people. Right. But also, we know because we look at the polls all the time and people start posting stuff in the chat, is that there are some people out there that are just getting those points, like you guys said, and they're just probably looking at their previous week and doing the same thing every week. And so someone did say, hey, if I only have 5 or 10 minutes, I want to put together a good poll, but I only have 5 or 10 minutes to do my poll. What is the best way to do it? The only advice that I can offer is get active in your conference chat, because chances are 1 or 2 or 3 of those guys in your conference chat have watched some of the games, and they may be able to update you on some things, right? Just say, hey, how does your guys' top 25 look this week? And they may be able to shed some light on some games maybe you didn't get to watch, some head-to-heads you didn't get to see, things like that. That's a great place to kind of turn some chatter and stuff and just get maybe some ideas on those bottom 10 teams, right? It's easy to do the top 10 because you're looking at 0 and 1-loss teams. Can be pretty easy to do, all power conference teams. Man, the bottom 10, like Penguin talked about, and people did bring up in the chat, there are points associated with beating ranked teams, right? And so if I can squeeze someone in, and we joke about it all the time, right? Like, hey, make sure you rank this team high so that when I beat them, I can get some points, But like you talked about with the coaches, that shouldn't happen. We got 130 people voting. Stuff like that shouldn't happen. But I'm with you guys. The mix and match stuff, there's just no reason that some of these teams are ahead each other and behind each other. But it's just because they're looking at the 2 losses and they just don't move them, right? Like ECU loses to Temple and just doesn't move anywhere, stays in the same place. And it's because coaches probably didn't see who they lost to. They just saw a loss on there. I shouldn't be ranked, right? I'll be the first person, and I know you guys voted me because we share each other's votes. And I vote for myself because I'm not going to not vote for myself, right? But I probably shouldn't be ranked if I really look at it. Lost to Washington, right? And you have Michigan, Wisconsin, all these teams that have beat them. I lost to Maryland, who's unranked, right? And I haven't beaten anybody, right? My biggest win was NC State, who's having a horrible year this year. And so I'm just saying is that, like, I think the reason I'm ranked is just because I've been ranked the last 4 seasons, right? I've been between 15 and 20 the last 4 seasons. And so it's like, and I'm sure there's other teams that are similar, like Duke, right? Duke being ranked pretty high. is probably the same thing. He's always right there at the bubble of that 12 to 15 teams. So
Tim, you also host the most popular sports podcast in the United States, so that helps. You
it
get
That
does.
name recognition alone has got to be worth a few votes.
That does. And I appreciate everyone that votes me. I really do, because it allows people to try to get free points against me every time they play me. And so I do appreciate that.
Schedule Tim next season. All right.
What I love is that what Tim just did was make sure we get a lot less notifications in Discord at work this week, because all the people who like to gripe about Tim being ranked now have nothing to say because he just came out and said, I shouldn't be ranked. Like, you just shut up an entire group of people, Tim. It's awesome, actually. You just did that.
I mean, there's the whole point there and stuff that Pat mentioned, and the piggyback on Tim there is an absolute clusterfuck of teams with 2 and 3 losses. And I mean, I could make a whole glorious spreadsheet about breaking down who deserves to be where. So I mean, that is a glorious debate that could be had. I mean, I could see a case just looking at, as I was doing my poll, of having Washington State literally at 16, 17 to all the way to outside of the top 30, depending on how stuff's stacked. I mean, there's just a lot of teams right in there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's the thing, is that if you're putting a little bit of thought into the poll, it's really hard to argue from probably 10 down. It's really hard to argue where you're going to slot some of those teams 10 to 30 or 10 to 35, but with the amount of teams and stuff that we do have. So, yeah, it's super exciting. We could probably hammer the polls all the time, every week. It is fun. Just so you guys know, our media polls between the four of us, they're never the same. They're never the same, and that's usually where we're missing it, is the bottom end, right? The bottom end is usually where we're completely off from each other.
damn voters.
And here's the thing: the top 25 is going to be something we don't even talk about here in about 15 minutes. Those rankings are going to be they're going to be talked about for a while.
Yeah. How interesting would it be is if, obviously it'd probably take a lot of work, extra work, but how interesting would it be if the top 25 polls for your season success only mattered until the CFP started? And then the CFP did a top 25. And that's where you started to get your points to the back end of the season. It would probably be too much work and it not entirely fair, but it would be or you just had a CFP committee for the whole year and they just did the top 25 and that was your season success. That'd be a lot of work for the CFP, but you'd probably get a more realistic approach to your games, because they do look at a lot more data than your average voter that votes Air Force number 1.
People, about 15 guys who haven't voted in a poll all year, they probably love that to get those points somehow another way.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That blows my mind.
Yeah, that's a whole other argument. We may get there in a minute, but guys who aren't doing their stats, I mean, come on, man. It's so freaking easy. Stats, playing, doing our polls.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure in their mind, a lot of them don't feel it's any big deal. But I mean, I don't know. To people who are just, take it too seriously like me, I feel like you're, throwing homie a double bird when you choose not to do stuff like that. The man puts his time in and money and labor into this, and you choose not to take advantage of the stuff there. I just don't think that's very cool at all.
Yeah, so I'll bring up a story because Shell probably wouldn't mind that I bring this up. But last year, Shell had mentioned that it was like his first season that he didn't do everything because he just thought he would stay at Oregon because he didn't think Bucknut would leave LSU. LSU's obviously his favorite real team, right? And it's just kind of a story here that play like why it's important to do these things. So Shell didn't do everything all season knowing that he could keep Oregon. If he would have known that Bucknut would have left, he probably would have had a top 3, top 4 pick in the draft and would have been able to take his favorite team, LSU. And so he openly said in the chat how he kicks himself for that because he just didn't think it, obviously it mattered. And so you just never know. Those points add up. Definitely the free ones, right? Everybody, we talk about it all the time in the NDL. How hard is it to go undefeated in the NDL? Pat, you're there right now. How much pressure do you have every single week you go out there?
Pressure. Just don't turn the ball over.
Yeah, right. You should see Pat in our chat, right? He's like,
This is the first season I've thrown under 10 picks after, 11 games. I mean, that's a big improvement. I threw like 38 one year. Yeah, that's a huge difference.
Yeah,
I just think
and so go ahead.
And I gave up my first sack the last game. First sack. First time we've been sacked. Pissed me off all season.
I'm reading in the chat here about people talking about people that not doing those things, right? Like there were some good teams. Some of you in this group, not maybe our game day group, but in the league, track some of this stuff. I'm not going to give you freebies about who's doing stuff and who's not, right? But at the same time, there are some really good teams right now, some good players in this league who aren't doing those easy things that a point or two could be a difference in them keeping their team or not at the end. Like if you need to get 88 to 90 points and you don't do some of those things, you have a great shot of missing out on it. And some people would be shocked at the good teams in our league, top 10, top 15 teams who aren't getting the easy points right now because either number one, they don't think they need them, or they just, I hate to say they don't care, but what's the other excuse? I can't think of a good one other than I just don't care about it to not
And
do it all year long.
we've had vets in here that have gone multiple seasons without doing anything. They just get on and play their games. Now, I will say that just goes to show how much they enjoy the league, though, right? Because for most of us, one of the best parts about the league is the community. We always talk about that, but also how much information is in the league itself, right? Stats, the Massey, which is a whole different argument, but the rankings, the CFP, all these things are utilized. The player awards at the end of the season, that's a blast. All those things are the accumulation of coaches buying into the whole process. So when you have a couple that have been here a long time, I like sometimes it feels like Pat talked about. It's kind of a slap into the face to the people that do put a lot of time in. Someone like Homie who spends countless hours making this thing streamlined, the website, and making it easy
Someone
for
said
us
that, by the way.
to do
Not
those
me.
things. So, oh yeah,
I mean,
sorry.
I agree
even
with him,
guys.
Mel.
Well, and there are a ton of guys. I say a ton of guys. There are a lot of guys who would gladly do all these things that aren't even good players, right? Like I spend more time in this league than I ever should, right? Like as a lot of us do, as a lot of us do. And I've won 3 games in 2 years, right? And I will continue to do those things because I just enjoy being a part of it. So to be good and have a chance to maybe have the number one pick, my man Brady, I text my man Brady, I feel like all the time and say, Brady, will you please put your stuff in? Because we all have said if Brady ever got to a good Power Five team, who knows what Brady could do? Because at App State he beats people that he shouldn't, right? And I know he's a lot of us are busy. There's basketball coaches in here. Hell, I'm one of them, right? But this is a rough time of the year for some people. Some people it's football season that's hard. Some people it's the spring. But man, just take those easy points. I don't understand it.
And I remember so this is dating myself, but back in college when I was in the NDL in like 2004, 2005, you used to be able to go on to league, like we'd go on to League Daddy, right? That's what like how this all started. But you could print off stat sheets. So I'd print them off at the college, right? Because I'm poor and don't have a printer and paper in my apartment. But I would print them off at college, and then you would go because a lot of times when you played games, you had to move your cords, right? Remember the Ethernet cords? You had to move them because you and so we would do that, and then you'd write down your stats on a piece of paper, and you'd just have it memorized, what slot people were, but then you would go back, plug everything in, and do it. And so it blows my mind that people don't do it now. With even though it can be a pain on your phone, the access now is way easier than it was, 15 years ago. And so, I mean, yeah, I enjoy seeing stats for games. I do think that the sim blocks, right, like cutting off the blocks, is helping a little bit. But now we just need a guy like Tutty that has the power to go in and edit the stats, right? We got guys that have 4 catches and 75 touchdowns. It would just be kind of fun if we could get that sorted out. So we'll jump right in. We'll jump right into Pat's top 15 here. So obviously Pat served on the college football playoff committee, 18 years ago. It feels like 18 years ago. It was like, 6, 7 seasons ago?
Third season we were back.
Yeah. So season, 31?
31.
Yeah, 31. And so Pat kind of put together a top 15. He did say that he'd probably swap some of his teams, so I'll let him talk about that. But I'll throw up Pat's top 15. For this is what he would do for the CFP that we're going to release here shortly. But this is what Pat's top 15 would look like. Pat, kind of walk us through it.
Yeah. So I would say after looking at a few more things, and I submitted this a few days before, some things changed. Uh, I I would first like to say Michigan State would fall out to that maybe that 15 spot, and you'd move everybody up behind them. So Mississippi State up 13 to 12, Rutgers to 13, and so on. And then I would take OU and move them behind and wedge them in between Penn State and Texas. So you would have LSU at 7, Oregon at 8, Penn State at 9, and OU at 10. But I think the top four are pretty clear. And I'll be honest with you, as a committee member, I would maybe even put up an argument with Alabama or Clemson being over my undefeated Utah squad because of how much stronger their schedules are than mine, or at least some of the bigger games they've had to play in. Um, so that there could be an argument for that. Just kind of like how in real football this year you had Indiana and Ohio State buys. Like you could have that happen here too. You could have an SEC team maybe take 2 of the buys, possibly down the road. But then, as you heard everything else, I would just move OU back, put him ahead of Texas because he beat Texas, and then Oregon needs to be ahead of Penn State, which this is the one that got me in the polls the most. So many people had Penn State voted before Oregon. Folks, they played this year. Oregon beat him. So you got to put him ahead. And then Clemson just has the loss to formerly known as Bumnut. So that's basically where we're at. And then I would have Wisconsin right out there at the 16 mark, and Duke, Duke, then Wisconsin, 16 and 17 if we kept going. So that's where I'd be. I don't know if that's what we're going to see.
Who's your
But
top
I think
G5, Pat?
my top G5 after what we know now, because it would have been USF for me, barely over Central Michigan, but I think it has to be Central Michigan now. Central Michigan, 2 losses. We're going to be one team that's in the CFP talk, and the other one at Michigan. And I watched that game. He was very competitive at Michigan. So I would have Central Michigan right now kind of ahead of the pack for the G5. Like I said, it would have been USF for me, but not after the showing last night.
And here's the thing about Michigan, they have the 3 losses. I know we're going to get into this in a minute, but Michigan's a top 20 offense and number 2 defense in the league, right? So that's I'm sorry, Penguin. I'm not saying it's a great loss, but for Central Michigan to be in that game against that team is really impressive.
Yeah, sure. When I watched the game, he returns punt for a touchdown. He finds ways. Good man. He scores on special teams, defense. He's a good player.
Fair point.
Yeah,
So that's how it would look for me, Tim. Like I said, OU though drop back in between Texas, Penn State, and then Michigan State out of there and drop them to 15 and move those 3 teams just up above them after the sim loss. I didn't realize he was going to be taking a sim loss to UCLA. If they're just using resumes like they did in the past, that looks really bad.
yeah, and then
Could be damning in the end.
yep, 100%. And Rutgers is dealing with the same thing, right? Took a sim loss, and so Michigan State, Rutgers took sim losses. In the last 2 weeks, the last 2 sims. And so, I mean, if I'm on the committee, that's got to weigh heavily. Not only did they lose, but they also took a sim loss for inactivity, right? That's, to me, I mean, like, do you deserve to be in the college football playoff if you can't even play a regular season game? Like, that's a valid question,
but
right?
it's only hurting their record though too. Like if they had got the sim win, I think that would need to be more studied than the sim loss. Like the loss actually hurt them. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's bad enough. I
And the
think
thing
punishment enough.
and I think the thing that everybody doesn't know that we need to know is why was it a sim game, right? Like, was it truly a coin flip? Was it neither one of them were communicating? And I'm not saying we know or don't know that, but I mean those kind of things play into that too that you kind of have to know. I agree. A sim loss is bad. The Michigan State one, I heard some people in the chat talking about this, like they thought, oh, Michigan State's going to get the win. Well, I don't know why they thought that because obviously admin felt like there was a reason why they shouldn't, right? Or whatever. So all those things matter. I don't know. That's interesting.
Well, if you go to look in the individual scheduling threads, I believe
Mm.
Rain has all the stuff in there. And there are cases where it is a 50-50 coin toss. And I mean,
Yeah,
that you let it come
Nathan
down to
flips the
that, you get
coin
what you get.
right in there. Doesn't he flip
Yeah,
the
yeah. No, I'm
coin
just
just
saying. I
using the
think
Discord flip?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just think most people don't look at that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, this will be interesting, obviously, because you have your team out as Michigan State, and we know that some of these teams play each other. Right, we're going to talk about that later in the show for our game day pick'ems and stuff. I just want to spotlight Notre Dame, and the only reason I want to do is because I've been really hard on Notre Dame the last like 5 seasons because they always seem to lose a stumble game every season. Right, he stumbles against an opponent that's usually unranked, or someone that he's projected to win. This year,
That's
even
just the respect that Rain has for the real Fighting Irish. That's a tribute
yeah,
for him each season to them.
right. But this season, a team that I don't know if anybody watched the Stanford game, right? That Rain just played Notre Dame. I feel like in seasons past, that's a game that Rain would have lost, just because he has those like trap stumble games, and he's won them. And so, seeing Notre Dame at 3 this year, every season before this, we as part of our media team here in the game day have been baffled by how high they are. And whenever we see
Yeah.
CFPs and rankings, right? I think Pat, hey, here we're putting him at 3, right? He's put together a great season, hasn't had any of those stumble games, kind of plays a mix and match of teams from different conferences and stuff. And it's just kind of all worked out for him this season. I'm just kind of looking at Pat's ranking here. I think he's right with the Utah thing. Obviously, their conference is down this year, right? It kind of goes in and out and stuff, to where there's the potential where they have a team that may play Pat in their conference championship team that is probably outside of the top 35, right? Like top 35 or 40 if you were to rank them. And so the Clemson thing is going to be interesting for me, the ACC, kind of how that will play out between them and Duke. Obviously, I don't see Duke on Pat's list. Duke makes, I don't know who's going to make that championship game in the ACC. I'm just assuming it's Duke. If Duke plays Clemson in the ACC championship and finishes with 3 losses, again, Penguin, we've talked about it. Are you penalized for playing in your conference championship game?
I feel to draw a quick comparison there. When I look at Duke, I think Duke and Texas Noel is in the similar shoes that I was with Iowa State last season. He could very well finish with just 3 losses on the season, and all of them to good teams, but he could end up, sitting on the outside end because of that, just because he doesn't have the marquee win to hang his hat on.
Yep. And so Jeremy, how does that list stack up to how you would? I mean, is there some teams at the bottom? Because that's really the bottom, between probably 7 and 15 is probably where the big mix is.
It's funny because I know that Pat talks about some teams maybe he would have a little lower. I think that Notre Dame's an interesting case, right? Because they're undefeated. The strength of schedule for them is terrible, and I would say this, and not that's no knock on Rain, right? He plays who he plays, and the one thing I'll say about strength of schedule is this: when you're in a conference, you can't really control a lot of that. For example, look at the Big Ten. It has a lot of good teams, but also has Iowa and has Purdue and has Northwestern, and that may drag somebody's strength of schedule down. Notre Dame has a lot of rivals. I get that, but he can also add some games to that can make it better. Let me ask you this, Pat. If Notre Dame loses a game between now and the end of the season, how far would you drop them?
Just one game?
Yeah.
Probably have to really. It depends on what happens in that Arkansas and Texas game, because Notre Dame, that's a hell of a win over Arkansas, right? So, that would have a little influence on me on where I drop them, because if Arkansas beats Texas, then that's a really quality win on Notre Dame's resume. So I wouldn't drop them completely out of the playoffs with one loss, but it would be like on the 10-11 line.
Because I think he plays Syracuse.
That's what I'm saying.
That's his last game is Syracuse. Notre Dame has one more game, Syracuse.
Yeah.
Right.
And my point is the resume is just not great, but he's undefeated, and that's hard to do, right? We've had that conversation.
Yeah.
It's hard to go undefeated, so that's kind of a hard argument. Oklahoma's an interesting case for me, right? Because they've had the 2 losses, but when you look at just what they've done, what their resume is, and you take that out, 7 quad 1 or 2 wins, a top 16 offense, a top 10 defense, like that's a really good team. So I don't know. A lot of things are going to play themselves out. And it's just like in real life. Do we value, and what we saw in real life this year is, do we need to value the fact there's a 0 or 1 in the loss column? Or do you actually have to look at the whole resume, and maybe a 2 or a 3 loss team is better, like we've seen, right? Like real life Texas Tech, they have 1 loss. And then when they played somebody that was good, they couldn't do it, right? Like they had struggle. So those are the type of things that I think are interesting in this top 15. I think as of right now, Pat's list is, I think everybody's going to have the same teams. It's just kind of how you order it, which really won't matter until the very end when we're trying to figure out who's the last one out and the last one in.
Mhm.
Who's your mid-major, Jeremy? Like, who'd be your mid-major?
Yeah, I think it's Central Michigan right now. I'm with Pat. I think Central Michigan, South Florida were there for me. Fresno is right in that mix too. But man, when you start looking at strength of schedule, and I know I just kind of went on that a little bit, but man, that strength of schedule for him is not good also. And quietly, the one that's not getting any love is Memphis right now, man. What happens if they can run the table out of this thing? I don't know if they can get in the conference championship game or not, but if they finish at 10 or 11-2, maybe Memphis is in that conversation. We haven't considered them yet either. That AAC is loaded, by the way. I say loaded. It's really deep at the top with I think 4 or 5 teams really good there.
Yeah, the hard part. So I'll just talk about my mid-major real quick. So the AAC, the hard part for me is that I think one of the better teams in there is Temple, and they lost to UTSA, right? Not in the we wouldn't consider them to be in the mix of one of the top teams in the mid-majors, right? So I know they're 8-1, but that loss, that's not losing to a Power 5 team. Or I mean a Power 4 team, right? Like they're not losing. That's a pretty bad loss. At all the mid-major schools that may be in the mix, I would say that's the worst loss. When I look at a team like Memphis, I think it's hard to put them in because it's the same scenario. One of their losses is the same, right? And so it's Central Michigan. My argument, probably if I was on the committee with them, is that their biggest win, obviously, was Western Michigan at the time, right? Who's no longer ranked. And then Buffalo, right? Who we probably all agree shouldn't be ranked right now, just with their schedule and their resume and stuff. And then he had a chance to play 2 Power 5 teams. He kept the game close, but our Power 4 teams kept the games close, but he lost both games, right? So he's had his chance. Neither of those 2 teams will make the college football playoff either. So it's not like his losses were to a CFP team. And so my dark horse here kind of would probably be Liberty. Coach Jett over there having a great season. And the only reason I say that is the only way that it would probably work for him is if Sammy wins out and Sammy plays him in the championship game, right? Sammy's a 2-loss team. Liberty's able to beat Sammy, but it's going to have to be a convincing win. He can't win by a field goal. He can't win. It's going to have to be a convincing win in that championship game. His only loss on the season would come against a CFP team on the road against Clemson, one of the top 10 teams. And I could say one of the top 10 teams since season 29 in Coach El Jefe. And that would be his only loss by 10 on the road to him. You can't, I know, Penguin, I agree with you. Me and you always laugh all the time that there's no good losses. But when you start comparing losses, because you're going to have to, that loss is by far the best loss out of any mid-major team right now. Out of any of them. You could put any of them together. The problem is his conference isn't that great, so he has to have some things fall in his place. He's got to have a 2-loss team, probably Sammy, run the table and play him in the championship game and beat him dominantly, and he's going to have a very valid argument why he should be in over Central Michigan. One less loss and a much better loss on the road to Clemson to a team that's going to be probably a top 5 team. They'll probably finish 5 in the CFP. I mean, that would be my argument.
If Clemson can get into the CFP with just the one loss, which is very possible, and that definitely helps Liberty. I still got a hard time with the fact they don't really have a win outside of perhaps their conference championship game to hang their hat on. But I mean, you make a lot of good points, and I mean, you can at least say the only other G5 team is really Fresno that doesn't have a loss that kind of hangs like a lead balloon on them for me.
Yep.
But still, Boise going down recently. I don't remember if we mentioned this during the show or in the pregame stuff, but Boise losing again lately, that probably sinks Fresno's chances greatly because that conference now all of a sudden just falls way down with Boise not being what they've been in some past seasons.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting. And someone did ask in the chat, Fired Up Chip asked, how many games did Jett play? Because Jett's a new coach, right? He came in after Sudden left Liberty. Is the way that I'm understanding it from looking at the website is that Jett is 7-1 as the coach for Liberty. He did play the Clemson game. When you go online, you can look and see he did play the Clemson game. I think
no
one
way
of the
Sutton would have stayed within 10 points in that game.
No, and so I think that one of the other one of the other games was a win. I don't know what it was, but he's 7-1, and he is the one that played in that Clemson game. Yeah, so really interesting. Obviously, it's a crapshoot right now, right? There's a lot of football left to be played. We got conference championship games. A lot can happen. And so we can, unless you guys got anything else, we can jump right into the reveal. You guys just got to tell me how we want to do it. We debate every season on how we want to release it, what numbers first, what numbers last. What do you guys want to do? Top 4 and then go bottom to top, or how do you want to do
Yeah,
I would vote for go top down.
it? Okay. So in season, this is the first reveal for the NDL, season 34. The number 1 ranked team, again, the committee met on Saturday night. I confirmed with 6. They met for 90 minutes to 2 hours, looking at all kinds of information and data and everything. The number 1 ranked team in the NDL is going to be the Ohio State Buckeyes, defending champs, undefeated currently. Coach D. Kennedy, I mean, this was probably a no-brainer for anybody, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, number 2 team right now for your the NDL CFP rankings is Coach Jiggy out there in Florida. Obviously found a team that's kind of meshed well with the type of gameplay he has, the offense he runs, defense he runs. Does this surprise you guys a little bit to see Florida at number 2?
I think that's right.
Number 3 is going to be the Utah Utes, Coach Pat here, NDL Game Day host. Is this the highest ranking Penguin? Did you ever get this high when you were? I don't remember if you were Iowa State. Did you ever get this high, or were you always around that?
Nowhere close.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So Pat, how does it feel
if
being 3
you
right
remember,
now?
we had the things where where I was told, if I'd been in a spot where I couldn't fall out of, but I never achieved those spots. I don't know if I was actually ever in the top 12
Okay.
with Iowa State.
I do. I remember you were towards the end of the season. You started getting down to that 10, 11, 12. So Pat, how do you feel being number 3?
It seemed fair. I put Notre Dame in ahead of me just because, again, I know I have some quad 1 wins, but this is going to sound horrible. They didn't feel like quad 1 opponents. That sounds horrible to say, but like I definitely see other conferences that have harder schedules that I think I would probably have 1 or 2. I'd probably be in that 2-loss conversation if I possibly played someplace else. That's just the way I look at it. So I would just have Notre Dame ahead.
Well,
We're going to need this information recorded for all time, with Pat giving so much love to Notre Dame, one of his favorite schools.
It was
think
funny
you should
because
be
Rain
so
mentioned that Pat's hanging out with a bunch of Irish people too. Like,
yeah,
He's turning.
you got
No.
you got 3 ranked wins, Pat. Notre Dame had 0. I think that's probably what people are looking at also in there.
For sure, and I agree with that, but I think all 3 of those teams are going to be unranked when the season's over. So it's one of those weird things, like they were ranked when I played them, but I mean, one of them was Texas Tech. He's struggled here at the end. One of them was Boise, we just talked about, was a ranked win. So they don't look very impressive as the season goes on.
hey,
never
Pat,
mind.
man, it's
Utah
not-
should be in there. Get them out.
yeah, it's not your fault, Pat, that you beat their ass and now they're not ranked anymore. That's not your fault.
I mean, look, you can look at the scores. The offense is clearly humming, dude. The Flying Hawaiian offense has got it going. But I'm trying to tell you that, I definitely there's just some guys have played some tougher games than I have. That's all. It's okay. There's plenty of time to keep playing and winning.
It's a changed man. He did a lot of reflecting over the last couple of months, I think.
I hear he went to a Shaolin temple during his suspension time and meditated for the entire duration.
Oh, sounds horrible. But cool. Number 3, go Utes.
Yeah, there you go. Obviously, a fan favorite on the NDL Game Day. People will be tuned for the Utah Utes. Number 4 ranked team in the NDL CFP reveal is your Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Obviously, I hit on them a little bit earlier. Coach Rain there putting together a great season. Obviously, any team that's undefeated in the NDL, which these 4 teams are, is a feat in itself. Anybody that plays in one of these tough conferences, people. We always beat the dead horse when we say these mid-major coaches that come in that are brand new, run the table, or do very well, and they're like, I can't wait till I get a good team. I'm going to kick everyone's ass. They realize how hard it is in the NDL because at the top, we do have a lot of competitive coaches that are very good. So Coach Rain putting together a good season vet in the league. an admin that does a lot of stuff also for the NDL, which we really appreciate. Here's the next reveal for the number 5 ranked team. This is where we're going to probably start having a little bit difference of opinion once we start moving these teams around. Is going to be your Alabama Crimson Tide, Coach Marion County there with Alabama, obviously another team that fits his game style and his type of play very well. What do you guys think about Alabama being here?
Penguin.
They shouldn't be there, but they're there, and it's my fault that they're there, so that they belong there, and I accept all blame for that.
Wow. I think they're correctly fitted right where they're at. You could have been an argument that he could have also been a number 1 team until he took his loss. So he just moves back to be the highest rated 1-loss team. Makes sense to me.
Yep.
And if you actually look at his out of conference schedule, I mean, he did go play South Florida, who obviously is ranked number 25. I mean, that's a pretty good coach, and Coach Jordan. He also 35 UCF, who has the potential to play Pat in their conference championship game. Just to give you kind of, if you're going to compare conferences and stuff, is that he did 35, the team that right now is in line to potentially play for the conference championship game. And so, he's put together a good season there. He had a really, really close win against Oklahoma. We watched that game. A lot of fun there. And so he's still got Auburn in the Iron Bowl, which is must-see TV, right? Weasel talking all kinds of crap about how he's going to whoop Marion and take home the Iron Bowl trophy. That's his CFP this year. That's his national championship, is Auburn beating Alabama, which will probably be a 3-score game. So
I gotta wonder, just to play devil's advocate, if Auburn were to pull off the upset, is 10-2? Does that impact Bama enough for them getting in, or are they safe?
It's going to be close because it's going to depend on how you finish your season, Penguin. If you win out, the head-to-head, you're going to be ahead of him.
Yeah,
I'll say if I beat Oklahoma, I think I'm in regardless of what else happens.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's going to slot him below you.
I think the problem is when you look at this season in general, I don't think one person can control their own destiny at all unless they win out, right? Because so many people are beating so many people. I think that it's, I'd be interested to see what the rest of this thing looks like, right? Because that'll determine where we're going to go. Because I don't know. I think it's hard to say that, Penguin, because who else loses and who else beats who? Because things are going crazy. Tim mentioned South Florida, and South Florida loses to UAB last night, right? Like,
yep.
Make that one make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting. Number 6 team, we'll jump right into the number 6 team for the first reveal, is the LSU Tigers. Coach Penguin, obviously, with us here. He's been in the CFP before, different team, obviously a new team this year. He did beat Alabama in their head-to-head, but LSU's obviously sitting there at 9-2 with 2 losses. Penguin, how do you feel being 6?
I'm surprised that I'm ahead of Clemson. That's for sure. I mean, I don't have a damning loss like I did last year, but I think it's a little surprising. But I'm not mad about it. But I'm surprised.
That's all we get, because I got to be honest. As I've looked through this and prepared for this, I think you should be ahead of Alabama, right? Like, Alabama's one loss, okay? But forget about that for a second. When you start, I mentioned this to you guys yesterday. LSU has the highest strength of schedule of all these teams in the mix. 7 quad 1 and 2 wins, 4 ranked wins, number 2 offense, number 18 defense. I don't care if it's 2 losses. This is what I meant. This is what I said a minute ago. 1 loss versus 2 loss shouldn't matter at this point when you have 2 teams who played each other. One person wins by 10. I know you turn around and lost to Tennessee or whatever it was. Like, that's terrible. Like, if you don't lose Tennessee, it's not even a question, right? But
Arkansas.
Sorry, Arkansas. Look at the entire resume, please. Right? Like, don't just look at one game that happened at that moment. And I say that saying you can't even just look at head-to-head, but just looking at 1 loss versus 2 loss and the resume there, I don't know, man. I'm sorry, Penguin. I think it should be flipped. That's just my opinion.
It is a good argument, though, Jeremy, because Alabama and Arkansas didn't play each other. So you can't compare that, right? Like if you could compare it and Alabama would have beat Arkansas, you could be like, well, LSU can't be it, or you know what I mean? But they never even played each other, and so obviously speculation could be whatever could happen between those two.
I think you make valid points. I got a hard time making that argument myself though, because I mean, frankly, I can't really defend the turning around and losing to Arkansas. I feel that bothers me, and we're also using that as motivation as well, because
I mean, look,
I don't know, I'm disappointed in myself.
Alabama's killing people, right? Like if you look at their average scoring, it's like 41-18. Like you guys are the next two teams, right? Like I think that's right. You guys should be 5 and 6. So if that's the case, and one of them beats you, then that makes sense to me, right? Like that's in real life. It just happened. They had
Mhm.
Notre Dame ahead of Miami, and then all of a sudden they realized, like, oh, wait a minute, these two teams played each other, and one of them won. Like you have to consider that when you get to that point.
I would be definitely curious to assume if I don't know, to see how the seeding works out in the end. That's for sure. That'll be very interesting because I mean, we don't even know who's. I mean, I believe Florida is locked in to play in the SEC title game, but their opponent isn't locked in still, right? I believe
And
so.
listen, I see Marion in the chat saying that you don't have the same amount of losses, and I get that completely. Like I
Mhm.
understand it's one loss versus two losses, but I don't know. You have to if they're the next if LSU and Alabama are the two next best teams, Pat, and they're that close, one of them beat the other one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's just what you have to.
I I
Maybe it's
agree with you
making too
actually,
much sense to
Jeremy.
me.
I agree with you, and the big reason again is the common opponents, right? Is that
Right.
so LSU lost to Arkansas and Florida. Okay, Florida's number 2. Arkansas's got to be in this mix at 15. Alabama never played either of them. Alabama doesn't play Florida. They don't play Arkansas. And so you could speculate who would win those games, right? But the fact of the matter is that they didn't play those games and Penguin beat them. And so I would agree with you. If it came down to just those two teams, I would probably put LSU in above Alabama. I have no problem with them being 5-6 right now because there is another game. But if LSU runs the table and then goes ahead and runs the table, I think that you'd have a valid argument to put them ahead of them. Definitely.
We'll see. I just gotta take care of business to make it easier on the committee. That's all I can say.
Well, here comes the number 7 team for the NDL CFP is your Clemson Tigers. Obviously, Penguin just hit on them being 7. A little bit of a surprise to me, but again, I think it's just because the ACC is a little bit down this year. Obviously, last year it was really high, right? They had 6, 7 teams ranked in the top 25 pretty much the entire season. This year, yeah, there you go. This year a little bit different, and so that to me, I don't have a problem with them being number 7 right now.
Nope.
Number
I
8
feel people are
team.
definitely sleeping on him a little.
Yep. No, yeah, they could definitely make some noise. I don't think them being down this far is necessarily a bad thing for them, right? Put them in a different spot this year as opposed to always being one of the top teams. This
Mhm.
year, you have Penn State, number 8. This is going to be one of those borderline teams where Shell brought it up in the chat earlier. You're going to have Oregon, Penn State potentially being matched up as who's in, who's out. And so this will be a really interesting one. Penn State at number 8. What do you guys think about that?
Oregon hasn't been up on the board yet, and he beat him, but it's just another one of those things you run into. Like the head-to-head win was weeks ago. Who's playing better right now? Smitty should have beat Ohio State. He totally messed up his pass cover. That was a tough watch. But I think right now maybe Penn State could be better than Oregon. I still put Oregon in my personal poll ahead just due to the head-to-head. That's literally the only difference, which is a huge one for a lot of people when both teams have the same amount of losses.
Yeah.
I would assume Oregon's probably next, and I think that if that's the discussion, then yeah, same thing, right? Like I just made the argument for Penguin and Alabama. I would make the same argument here. Big Ten schedules are hard, like I said a minute ago, because they don't all play the same teams, right? Like the Big Ten has a lot of really good teams at the top and a lot of really bad teams at the bottom, and so that's I don't know, man. Like all things are not created equal. I get that. So I go back to like Pat said, they played each other. Oregon won the game, even though it was at home. They still won the game.
Yeah, I would agree with you. same win losses if Oregon falls in at number 9 here. That to me would be a head scratcher. I know Oregon's loss is worse. You know, I mean, he loss is bad, but he lost to Minnesota, who's not horrible, 7-5. Played a lot of close games. But
Oregon should always win that game.
I'm not saying they shouldn't, Penguin, but I'm just saying is if you have two lost teams and it's a head to head, that game counts. That game has to matter. I don't care. I don't care when it was played. I don't care. I just don't care. The game was played, they lost, and so I have a hard time believing that Penn State would be above them. If this is going to be one of those the Miami things you talked about, Jeremy. At the end of the season, when the committee probably really looks at it, they're going to have to take that into account, right? But that's both teams winning out, finishing with the same win losses. And so I don't know how that tiebreaker in that conference works. Has anybody looked at it? Are one of those two teams going to play in the chipper?
I haven't needed to look at it. Chip may know. Yeah.
I mean, there's 5 teams. I mean, you got Rutgers who has 1 loss right now, but they have 2 really tough games left. You have like 5 teams with 2 losses.
Yeah, Rutgers, Wisconsin, Oregon, Penn State are all alive, I think, technically.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting. Okay, number 9 team is your Oregon Ducks. We really just all hit on this. Doesn't make sense to me. If I had to say so far, this is something they've missed, this would be it, right? This is the one they missed. You got to flip those teams.
And,
Yep.
and here's what's scary, right? Every committee is different. Like in real life, the committee is usually the same people and that you kind of know what they're going to do. In our league, the committee is different, and you get different opinions in there that don't think the same as maybe the year before. And what we've seen now is we've seen 2 examples of, Tim, you just said it. At the end of the year, when we looked at it, they're going to have to look at head to head. Well, now there's 2 examples of head to head. Obviously, maybe it doesn't matter as much as we think it should. Or, obviously, there's two teams back to back that the losing team is ahead, right? Like that's just the brain of this committee is that head to head doesn't matter.
Yeah, and obviously,
right?
Yeah, no, Shell's in the chat, Oregon coach. Right now, he just put, obviously, I'm sure he's thinking the same way as he should. Obviously, an advocate for his team. Oregon strength of schedule number 41, Penn State's number 52, plus the head to head, right? So, strength of schedule is pretty much the same, right? I mean, we were talking about 136 teams, about the same. We're probably beating the dead horse. All 4 of us seem to agree that these should be flipped. Like it just should be. I don't know any argument you can make to not flip these teams, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter other than matchups because you're both in the playoffs, and that's ultimately what you want, right? Get in the playoffs and have a shot, get that extra game. And obviously,
they would be playing each other.
Yep. Yeah. So then just get to hash it out again. So
and he have to go to Penn State.
Yeah, right. That's your reward for beating him in the season. Is you got to go to Penn State and play him. Okay, number 10 team here in the NDL CFP is your. I thought we were going to go bottom to top, but I just keep going. I apologize. Is your Oklahoma Sooners? Obviously, this is going to kind of all play out. We've talked about it already. LSU, Oklahoma play each other in a playing game, pretty much for the CFP, right? I can't imagine that if the loser of that game's got to be probably on the outside in. Winners should probably really cement themselves as a top 6 team in the league. What do you guys think?
Makes sense. Both teams, Oklahoma and LSU, both have good wins, but winning that game will also be a very good win, and I think it makes it very, very simple for the committee there that one of these teams gets a spot.
This one was suspected that. Remember, when mine came out, I moved them back to this spot. This is why, because I think the next best team, in my opinion, is Texas, who again they beat head to head. But I could also see the committee maybe putting like a Rutgers or a. Well, no, you guys met after Michigan State lost, right? So the Sim loss, Jeremy, did the committee, Tim? Do you know meet about
the Sim
before or after the Michigan
came through 2 days ago? So I think the committee met after that.
Okay, so yeah, so this is where it's going to get interesting. I think this 11 and 12 spot because I think OU's in the right spot.
Yeah, and the hard part I have with OU right now, I know they're sitting there. They do have a couple good wins, right? Like they beat Texas Tech, and they beat Auburn, beat Texas. They beat Boise, who, Pat, you talked about it, were ranked, right? Obviously, they lost again last night, Boise did. And so that loss really doesn't look that great. He lost to Alabama, but he lost to Tennessee, right? That's a bad loss. That's a bad in-conference loss. I know Coach Vegas is good. He's been playing well, a lot of close games, but I'm just saying when you're starting to compare losses, which eventually you have to do, is that's a pretty bad loss. And he didn't just lose. He lost 35-7. Penguin, you talked about it a couple seasons ago when you were Iowa State. You had a horrible loss that season, and ultimately, at the end of the day, that kept you out.
Yeah. I mean, and I think for that reason, even if if the LSU Oklahoma game goes to double overtime and it's an all-time classic, I think that if Oklahoma finishes 9-3, I think they have no chance because of that. I think that they'll run into if
Yep.
there's room for a 9-win team, I think it keeps them out. They're in the blessed situation where if they can get that 10th win, I think that saves them, and they have a chance to atone for their sins of that bad loss by getting a good win. It's a very fortunate opportunity they have.
I think that when you look at why they probably belong here, even when that lost Tennessee, is because the two lost teams behind them, one of them is Texas, who they beat.
Mhm.
Mississippi State doesn't really have, I mean, their schedule doesn't really stack up to Oklahoma. So I think where they're at right here is fine. I do think if they beat LSU, then hey, then you proved it and you're going to move on. If you lose to LSU, then enjoy the Great Bowl or the Citrus Bowl or whatever it's going to be, right? So, uh, we'll see. But they'll have their chance to get in from 10. They definitely have their opportunity to get up there if that's they think they should. And Mort's had a great year until that loss. I mean, golly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
But I
number
think also
11.
it's important. No, a
I'm
lot
going to
of
go
these
down.
teams have losses we think are bad losses, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah. Well, so number 16, we'll go down. We're going to go down from the bottom top, and then so the number 16 team here in the CFP here. This is I think they did the top 16 according to Six. This is what he had told me. They did the top 16 team. They did pick a mid major too. Just so you know, the mid major is outside of their top 16. Okay, I will tell you the mid major when we get all done with this. I'll tell you who's out. We'll tell you who slides into the whatever spot. So the number 16 team is your Duke Blue Devils. Coach Texano, who I don't know if you guys have followed every single season that he's played in the NDL since we've done the CFP. He's been one of the first teams out every season. So this isn't anything new for him. Obviously, I think the only way that he makes it to the CFP is if he plays in the conference championship game and beats Clemson, right? Just with his resume and the ACC just being down this year. But Texas, it's number 16. Texas Noel with Duke. How do you guys? I mean, do you guys feel any differently about them being at 16?
No, that's about where I would have them, 16 or 17.
yeah, and this got brought up in live chat. We know that the ACC champion will get in because we know the top G5 you just said is outside the top 16 right now, right? So ACC will win if they get in. So yeah, that's his clear path. Beat Clemson, which nobody's done since the beginning of time, I guess, and you get in the playoff.
Number 15 is your Michigan State Spartans. And just for clarification, Pat, Chip did say that that sim actually came in this morning. Michigan State's loss came in this morning.
Yeah.
So that when the CFP met, when this was done, that sim loss was not in here. Obviously, now they're 7-3. We could all probably agree they have no shot at making it now. And I think Chip also put in the chat, it looks like it's really between Oregon, Wisconsin, and Rutgers playing Ohio State in the championship game. It's between those three teams. And so that's where we're at with that. Now, and so we won't even really discuss that because they're not in there anymore with their sim loss they took this morning. Your number 14 team is your Arkansas Razorbacks, who also have a very big matchup left on their schedule. A really tough team. Penguin, you played Arkansas. How do you see them at number 14 right now?
I think it seems about right, but given what I think they're going to do in this next block, I think you're going to see them rise from this position. So, I mean, they got a good win, and I think they've got another good one coming up on the horizon. I'll tease that.
Yeah, so obviously they play Texas in probably what many consider would maybe be in a playing game, maybe, but not entirely true. Something to think about. If Arkansas beats Texas, Rutgers loses 1-2, right? Well, Arkansas has the head-to-head against Rutgers, right? They played at the beginning of the season, week 2. Arkansas lost by 3, 56-59. And so that is something that obviously we talk about the head-to-head stuff. Wouldn't that be interesting, having these two teams go by, and then you're going to try to value who has more wins, who has more losses, where Arkansas will be sitting there with, let's say they win this game, they'll be sitting there with 3 losses to where Rutgers may only have 2 losses, but you're going to have the head-to-head. So that'd be really interesting.
Well, I think
Yeah.
just based on who Rutgers would have to beat to finish with 2 losses, that wouldn't even be a conversation, right? I mean, because Rutgers has who do they have left? They have 2 more.
Penn State and Ohio State.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If they their 2 losses, they're in the conversation for way higher than where Arkansas would be.
So what if
If
they
Arkansas
lose?
wins out too,
Yeah, what
they
if?
knock Texas out of the way too.
So
Yeah,
if
but you
Arkansas
beating
wins, Rutgers loses 2, so they both finish with the exact same record, right? How are you going to like? And you're going to put them head to head. How are you going to put Arkansas in
well,
over Rutgers?
they both have 2 losses right now, right?
3. Arkansas is 3.
No.
Arkansas is
Arkansas is
8 and
3.
3.
Okay. So, but if Rutgers were to beat either Ohio State or Penn State, that would be a better win than
Oh yeah. Oh
the
yeah.
wins at I mean, well, Arkansas beat LSU, right? So
I don't think Rutgers in means Arkansas is out.
Yeah. It'll be
In
interesting.
my
So
that's a good point, Tim. That's an interesting.
just because they
scenario.
happen to play each other, right? And they're potentially going to be teams that you're going to
Yeah.
compare against each other. So your number 13 team for the NDL CFP initial reveal is your the Mississippi State Bulldogs. This is a team I'd love to see in because I think they could make a lot of noise, right? We're all big Coach Roke fans. I think they could make some noise in the CFP. I just don't know if they have enough on their resume to get in there. They did lose to Arkansas too. So what do you guys think?
I lost Arkansas and lost to Jiggy, which is nothing to obviously shy away from. Jiggy did dominate them in that game.
Mississippi State beat Arkansas.
Yeah, they beat
Right.
Arkansas.
Yeah,
Yep,
beat
yep, yep.
Arkansas.
I
Lost to
apologize.
Texas. I missed
Yep,
the Texas
Texas.
game. I did not see a play of that. I've never seen that game. Learned that they lost to Texas right when I submitted Tim my college football. I thought they had 1 loss, and then so I missed that game. But I think he's probably right where he needs to be, Tim. I agree with you that he'd be fun to see make a run. He's just going to be in the last discussion here. Teams that are going to either be heartbroken on the last reveal or not, because all he has left is Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is just it just doesn't have the level of gameplay as Roke does. Well, I would have
I-
Mississippi State.
I don't
Heavily
it's
favored.
complicated at all. You're talking about if Mississippi State wins the Egg Bowl, you're talking they're a 10-win SEC team. I don't think there's a world where a 10-win SEC team doesn't get one of those spots.
I think they're
Right.
going to benefit from Oklahoma, LSU play each other, so we know one of them is going to fall out of the top 10, right? We know Rutgers has 2 tough games coming up, right? If they lose both of those games, Mississippi State's going to slide up in because they beat Arkansas and Arkansas beat Rutgers, right? Like you're going to probably compare those 3 if you're comparing to try the top 12. Obviously, lots of football left and stuff. We're going to jump into the number 12 team here. Okay. So this would be hypothetically the first team out because I already spoiled it and told you mid-majors not in the top 16. So they're going to slide in. So Rutgers is your first team out right now. They control their own destiny, right? Jeremy, you talked about it. There's no way if they're to win their next 2 games, they're left out of the CFP. They would play in the conference championship. And so probably right where they need to be.
And it's one of those weird things. You talk about statistical anomalies. They had the highest rated offense and like the 118th or 119th on defense, right? So that's his problem. And you're right. If he wins these 2 games, give him his flowers, he's in. If he loses one of these 2, he's going to be out, right? I mean, I say that if he loses one of these 2, he still may find his way in by beating one of those 2 teams. He loses both, obviously he's out. There's just so much at play here. This is one of those weird years, right? To where it looks like everybody is depending on everybody, not just one team at this point. It's interesting.
I think in order for him to get in, he's going to have to beat Ohio State because Penn State's a borderline team, anyways, with 2 losses. To where if he finishes with 3 losses, you're not going to put him in over Arkansas because they played head to head, right? So
No, but think about this: if LSU beats Oklahoma, you're taking Oklahoma out, right? If uh, uh, there's a couple teams that could fall out still, but if he beats Penn State, Penn State's out, right? So it's just maybe he slides his way in there still.
yeah.
Like I said, there's a lot of things there.
So your number
And
11
he beat
team,
Arkansas.
obviously, the number 11 team, everybody knows it's going to be Texas, obviously, with their win-loss and stuff. Again, they're going to play Arkansas. So some of these teams are going to kind of some of these rankings obviously are naturally going to move around and stuff. I'll go ahead and let you know I don't have a graphic up right now. Your mid-major team right now, the CFP is put at 20th on their rankings, is your Central Michigan. Coach fired up Chip there, putting together a good season. Obviously, lots of G5 games left to be played. But Central Michigan right now looking like the favorite to make this CFP. I know before the show we did talk about, who's CFP and stuff was kind of everybody's favorite, and obviously he was several of your guys' favorite. Pat, what do you think about Central Michigan?
Yeah, we spoke on it when we released mine, and I would jump him over USF obviously at this point, and then right behind Central, you'd probably, like Jeremy talked about, take a look at Fresno. Temple. What's nice is the AAC is going to shake itself out, and then Central. Are they going to play Western again, or is it going to be Buffalo?
I think it's going to be Buffalo, right?
Yeah. So what's crazy and great is these G5 conference championship games. I don't want to put a G5 conference down or anything like that. Sometimes they're not always the most tuned into conference championship game. All of these conference championship games for the G5 are going to be massive games. Because of how difficult, like that's got to be tough for Chip to play either Western or Buffalo the second time. It's hard to beat a good team twice. We talk about it, and I just think the AAC. I mean, man, if Temple can run through there and go 11-1, like with 1 loss, you have to think, with the win over East Carolina and winning the AAC, that's another big argument to have.
And then we look at the bracket. So I just popped the graphic up with the bracket, and obviously Clemson is just a big orange. It for whatever reason it didn't show up, but man, when you look at the graphic, I could not have picked a worse layout for a tournament. Right? You've got Penn State, Oregon playing each other. Winner plays Ohio State. Horrible, right? You'd have game conference matchups. You have LSU playing Texas, and then obviously the winner would play Utah. You'd have Florida and Oklahoma on the same side of the bracket. Just a horrible way. Hopefully that doesn't play out like that because that would be. I hate. Obviously, I wish that they'd do some like reseeding each round or something to mix up. So we wouldn't have to see in conference matchups. Definitely the first round. Ain't no one want to see that. But you guys can see that who would be your favorite right now? Who'd be your favorite to win the CFP? We'll go with Jeremy first.
Oh man, just based on the way that
based
out,
upon this
Florida.
bracket. Yep.
I think Florida has the cleanest path to get there. When you look at the other side, that Big Ten gauntlet would be tough. I still think Ohio State's got to be our pick to win it, but I would say Ohio State over Florida in the finals if we were to get there, which is welcome back to last year, a different team though, right? Don't kick it to him.
I
would pick Florida. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
nope.
I would.
Yep.
I would just pick Florida right now. Just the way he's playing, all pretty dominant wins. We got cheated out of getting to see 2 good coaches play against him that unfortunately aren't in the SEC anymore because I know Georgia's on the schedule. I'm pretty sure A&M was on his schedule as well. So I've watched him play. He just doesn't make bad passes very often, and the quarterback he has is severely, obviously overrated in the game, as we know compared to real life. But I mean, the guy throws dots in this game. Lagway does. It's crazy. So that's what I would think.
What about you, Penguin?
I mean, I got to go with the Buckeyes. I think, they're not only playing well, but when they're not at their best, they've still got that luck on their side. I mean, how they won the Natty, that win over Penn State. I mean, there's something to be said for just having the ball bounce their way. And right now, that mojo's still on their sideline. So
But
they're my favorite still.
Tim, how would you like a game all game day quarterfinal with Utah and LSU potentially? That'd be fun, right?
That would be fun. It'd be fun if they could end up on opposite sides and they play in the championship, right? We'd have to broadcast that game live.
Ooh.
They so for
You guys
me,
are crazy.
all right. So for me, I'm gonna pick Florida, but only if Oregon beats Penn State. I think if Penn State beats Oregon, Penn State's gonna upset Ohio State. They had them beat the first time, right? They had them beat the first time. I think Penn State, if they can beat Oregon, I think Penn State's going to upset Ohio State and end up in the championship, and he is going to beat Jiggy.
Mm.
Interesting.
Yep, but
It's a hot take of the weekend right there.
yeah, there you go. If they can't beat Oregon though, I have Florida winning the national championship.
Now, one more quick thing I just noticed. This has happened in the SEC before, but I don't think ever in the Big Ten. You are probably going to have Wisconsin playing the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State. And there's going to be two at-large teams from the Big Ten. Usually the SEC sees some at-large teams that don't make the like multiple ones, but this will be the first time the Big Ten gets multiple ones in. And I mean, look, it's a tough hill to climb, but could you imagine if Wisconsin beats Ohio State? Like, I'm not saying it's going to happen. That's a hell of a difficult challenge, but like that could just really screw with things, and
Yeah.
chip in a chair is what I say. So I think it's crazy that, you have the Big Ten is just so much deeper than it has been the past 3 or 4 seasons.
Well, and who plays in the SEC championship game?
I haven't looked at that one yet because it was so
No.
muddy the last time I
Yeah,
talked.
I think they were kind of still like looking through it and stuff because there are two huge matchups left in the SEC, but also that could change things, right? You got obviously Florida on one side, but that game could obviously change the seedings quite a bit, and so obviously we really haven't talked about it yet, but the home matchup is huge in the CFP, right? On the video game, we can't select a neutral field,
Yeah.
and so these last year and these next three, to me, if you're an away team and you win the national championship, that's a huge asterisk as like a bigger pat on your back, right? To be able to go on the road and win one of these games as home field can be a huge momentum swing. So
And that's part of the reason I'm gonna lean Ohio State because I gotta feel they're gonna be playing at home for anyone they face.
yeah, man. So that was the first reveal for the CFP. Obviously, it's an additional one that the CFP committee met on Saturday. They'll be meeting again, I do believe, next Saturday, which will be after the next round of games. It may be the Saturday after that. I know they're going to meet another Saturday within the next 2 weeks, and then we open up the conference championship games, and then they'll be meeting after that. Obviously, we'll get the CFP final reveal. And so the plan moving forward is that we'll be doing a Sunday evening show to reveal these for you guys during this end of the season for the NDL. So we'll jump into our NDL Pick'em games this week. One of the games has already gotten played, so we will Pat's going to bring up another game to talk about in that place. Obviously, the Iowa game got played, Coach Hubbard. So we will go through those pick'ems and just kind of go through what our thought was. But then Pat's going to bring up another big matchup that we have that kind of played itself out. So yeah, we'll jump into the pick'ems here.
Big 12 game first, Tim.
What's that? Yeah, if you want to, Pat, go ahead and jump into
Yeah,
the
okay,
Big 12 game.
absolutely. Yeah. So not on the website or a game of the week, but I'm putting all of my colleagues in the spot right now. The way it shakes out in our conference, the Big 12, whoever wins the BYU Central Florida game goes to the conference championship game. I think there is some weird tiebreakers if UCF wins. But our guy Andy, he'll be on top of it. So personally, I'm going to take BYU in this one. I think he controls the clock. Running back is obviously one of the leading rushers in our league. UCF's front seven, not very good. And I think the low turnovers and just being able to control the clock will put BYU over the top, and we could possibly have a rematch in the conference championship final. That would be fun. A little what do they call it? The oh my goodness, I'm blanking. The the Holy War rival. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, give me BYU in this one. Jeremy?
Yeah, no, I think BYU is the pick there too. It's one of those things we've talked about this some during the year. It's kind of been, is he good? Is he not good or whatever? I think right now he's playing well. I'm going to go BYU too, and I think a nice Holy War rivalry in the Big 12 championship would be fun. But I'm with you. I think BYU.
Yeah, I'm with Jeremy. I think BYU. I think that they're just a little outmatched, and yeah, I think I have them win.
Yeah. I mean, if you look after the first 4 weeks, these are two of the hottest teams actually in the league, honestly. Uh, but I mean, BYU, it's hard to pick against that ground game. So if you run the ball well, you win. That's almost an absolute truth. So yeah, the Stormin' Mormons.
And they're one of the better rated defenses in that conference from a game
BYU?
standpoint, aren't they? Yeah,
Yeah,
aren't they?
there's some real star power on that team for sure.
Yeah.
Played him earlier this year. He's good. He's very good. Thing.
Okay, so now we're back in order. All right, so our first-ish game of the week there is going to be, I believe, is this the Burkhoff battle of Hawaii and Oregon getting
Hawaii
together?
and Wyoming.
Wyoming.
Hawaii
Yeah.
and Wyoming. I can't read. I'm sorry. It's past my bedtime.
It's 6:28. It's 5:28 where you live.
It's been a long weekend.
This guy gets up at 3 a.m. to feed pigs and laying shit. I don't know what else you do. Play with
What?
chicken poop.
What? You know, I'm just going to pretend I didn't hear any of that. Okay. Anyway, back to the game of Wyoming versus Hawaii. A couple of legends who've had rough seasons as they've, but the plus side is someone will have the opportunity to double their win total in this battle of siblings. And in the end, I just got to go with I like the way the Hawaii uniforms look better. And for that reason, I think Jeff Daddy and those smart looking threads that the Rainbow Warriors will be wearing get the victory in this one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with little brother in this one. He throws the ball well, and I think it'll come back to him around the second quarter. I know he's been having a layoff, and both guys are struggling a little bit, but obviously we miss the beer, bourbon, and ball guys, but they are elite basketball coaches in this world. So give me the. Are they still the Rainbow Warriors, or what are they called now? Just
I'm pretty sure they're the Rainbow
Yeah,
Warriors.
Hawaii.
Okay, yeah,
The Rainbow Warriors.
okay. The Hawaii Rainbow. I'm over it. I can't even say it. Go Hawaii.
Yeah, I know both of these teams are struggling. Pat mentions that Hawaii throws the ball well. 8 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Both teams, by the way, have more interceptions than touchdown passes. I think that's kind of a weird deal.
He holds a record in our league for the most passing yards ever of all time. So yeah, at some point he was a good passer.
I understand that, right? I'm just talking about like right now. Okay, I know they're both in the middle of the season, and both in the middle of the season. That changes things. When you start looking at the numbers in this thing, this is really like it's a really even matchup. And I'm going to go opposite you guys. I'm going to go the home team. I'm going to go Wyoming here, and go opposite. Try to get myself up in the picks. Penguin didn't give us the update, but I know I'm behind. I got to steal one here.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Hubbard. I'm jumping on. Obviously, I just had a chance to play Wyoming. I've played these coaches several times. I've definitely played Jeff Daddy a lot. Obviously, I've had a ton of Mountain West ties with Washington State and stuff. Great passer, right? When he's out of basketball season, but he's a completely different player when he's in the basketball season. I think that Mark is more consistent in and out of seasons, if that makes sense, right? To where Jeff goes way up and then way down to where Mark is just consistent. I think the biggest difference maker in this game is going to be John Michael Gillenborg, tight end for Wyoming, one of the best tight ends in the nation. Right now, he has almost 100 catches. He's going to surpass 100 catches on the season. He's going to surpass 1,000 yards. I think he gets the 10 touchdowns. Right now, he has 7. I think he's going to have a 3-touchdown game against Hawaii. That's going to be the biggest difference maker in the game. And I think Wyoming is going to win, and the tight end, tight end's going to make a big splash in the game.
I do just want to say that being a basketball coach in the season, that's going to be my excuse too. Just throwing that out there for everybody.
What happened last fall?
Hey, listen, that doesn't matter. I was coaching middle
Prepping.
school football, man. That was a lot going on there. A lot going on there. We don't need that. We don't need logic here, Tim.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, we can talk about this next game. Which are we allowed? Is it too late for us to change our pick?
Nope.
Jeremy
Yes, it is too late. Yes, it is too late. Yes,
Jeremy
it is.
held a gun to my head and made me change my pick before they played.
We have Nebraska at Iowa. Our very own Jeremy, game of the week, played already. Unfortunately, Nebraska, I picked against him. I did take Iowa. I got to pick Jeremy. He did not hold a pistol to my head because I picked him without all of that nonsense. And it was nonsense to pick him because he lost. So that's, I don't know. What do you have to say about it, Jeremy? Are you sad that you're coming to a close of being the Iowa coach?
No, I mean, yeah, yes and no, right? Here's the thing: like, you guys have been watching over this Christmas break for me. You've watched like Pat's multiple times told me never to throw the football again. I agree. I should never throw it, right? Um, you know, I feel like if well, it was kind of that. If I had another month sitting at home, I might could win a game or two. I don't know, but no, seriously, like it was fun to try it. Like, could I go? The story of the draft has been told many times, right? Like, they were nowhere on my list of teams to pick. The draft happened. I'm literally driving the girls back from a basketball game. I'm driving a bus. I'm following along, and I just panicked and picked Iowa. I don't understand why I did it. It's the worst draft pick in the history of draft picks, other than Ryan Leaf. That one might still be worse. But I just, listen. And the funny thing is, I kept it to a 6-point game, and even I think MGR would tell you that like I threw 2 75-yard plus touchdown passes in that game, which is the most un-Iowa thing ever. But just couldn't do it. So it is what it is. I'm sorry, Tim. I'm sorry, Pat. Penguin, bite me because you didn't pick me anyway. So whatever.
I'm gonna say it was all part of a plan to try to catch Tim. I'll have to admit, I used you all, and it worked. So no regrets.
I did have a win.
Okay.
Thank you, Chip, for pointing this out. I did win the highlight of block 6.
Yeah, you did.
As I
Yep.
should have. Fat boy touchdown.
Yeah, broke 2 tackles, big touchdown. And I'll point out too, Jeremy, is that you probably I don't think you are because I don't think Outlaw's going to win his next 2 games, but you're going to finish not in dead last, right? Because you're going to have 1 win and Outlaw's going to have no wins.
Yeah. If I was behind him, I would say let's have a bowl game of us two. But since I'm ahead, no, let's just don't even chance it. Let's just let him finish in dead last and we finish 17th.
The corny shit
The
bowl.
NDL toilet bowl.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Niddler's in that conversation too, right? I think he's going to
1 win.
1-11 or 2-10.
Yeah, 1 win, I think.
I feel like I'd have a shot there. I just saying, I feel like I'd have a chance. I don't know. But you should never believe me when I say that anymore. All right. Next pick. It's a big SEC game here that we've talked a lot about already today. CG and Texas going on the road to take on Devon and Arkansas. 2 teams that, hey, look, if you're Arkansas, you want to get in the top 12, you got to win this game. If you're CG and Texas and you want to stay in the top 12, you got to win this game. I look at this one and I look at just the way things have played out. CG early on, we had a lot of conversation about how he had not kind of figured out his team early. It didn't look like he's come on now and he's having a good year. Arkansas, man, if you look at Devon's last couple of seasons, right? Last year at Pittsburgh, right, was kind of in the same conversation of maybe on the bubble of the playoff a little bit, couldn't play defense. He's a Northern Illinois brethren like I am. He was Northern Illinois before I was. This time, I think maybe Devon's figured out. I've been on CG all this whole show. I'm gonna go Arkansas here in this win. I think they're playing really well right now. They have a chance to get into the SEC championship game. I'm gonna go Razorbacks.
So this was probably the toughest game out of the games for me to pick, only because I think the two teams are so evenly matched with how they've been playing this season. The biggest difference for me um, down the stretch was that they both recently just played a common opponent, Mississippi State, and Texas beat them. I think Texas has a really good defense, man. They're rated 94 in the game. I think that at some point they're going to make a play. We've seen Devin play. He takes chances down the field a lot, right? He pushes the ball down the field. I think Texas secondary is going to be a little bit better, better than Arkansas's, and they're going to make some plays, make some interceptions, and I think that's going to flip the game. Obviously, the game is in Arkansas. I don't think the home field will be that big of a difference. Definitely for a Texas squad that has a ton of experience and stuff, and I'm sure Manning has all kinds of badges and stuff that's going to help with that. And so I do have Texas winning this game. And I think it'll be close on. It's going to be a shootout. Like this is going to be in the 40s for each team, probably.
I think it's absolutely going to be a shootout. I think there's no question about that. You're going to have a lot of points put up. And because it's going to be a shootout, because it's going to be a close game, I like the Hogs to pull it off and win it at home. I think they've got that X factor of having those dudes who are just dynamos speed wise, who you can defend them well 90% of the plays, but you blink wrong or come out in the wrong coverage, they're in the end zone on you. And I think that right there is going to be a great equalizer versus that talent that Texas has. And plus, Devin's hot right now. He's a good coach, and I think they get this done.
Yeah, give me Devin in this one. I think the home field advantage, like Tim said, may not affect Arch, but I'll tell you, Devin is a very good user on defense. Even though he gives up a lot of points, he himself can user his players pretty well. So he might be able to bait CG into a few picks. And I just, like Penguin said, I see some over the top touchdowns. I watched Arkansas play LSU. My goodness, that guy just is a burner out there. And the quarterback can throw it about a mile and a half. So yeah, I just think it's going to be like I agree with all you guys. Take the over, and last possession, Arkansas wins on the last possession of the game.
That game is going down Tuesday at 8 p.m. Per CJ or
Yeah.
CG Eastern time, 8 p.m. on Tuesday night.
Wow.
It's going to be an exciting one for sure. Can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
Moving right along, we get to what is this? A Sun Belt matchup, I believe, between the Troy Trojans and the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. Now, I mean, it's a pretty even matchup in a lot of ways. Got coaches who've had between was it Duvid Hits Bombs and our own former contributor on GameDay, Big Red. But both of these passing offenses, and you look at the quarterback's touchdown to interception ratio, is absolutely insane. The ball is going to be flying all over the yard. They both got multiple receivers who are just truly deadly. And you know what? After going back and forth, watching a couple of the games, I feel like Southern Miss is going to have just a little bit more firepower, and that what's his name, Mr. Elijah Metcalf, is going to add on to his already 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns this season. And shoot, this one, core question is the over higher in this game or the Texas Arkansas game? I don't know, but Southern Miss with the win.
I gotta agree with you here, Penguin. Played Southern Miss in my opening cup game, and he can sling it. He was giving us fits in the secondary at Utah. Very difficult to run zone against him because he will throw those hole shots in the zone very well. I just think he's too good of a passer, and he does some unique things on defense that can really frustrate you. And I think that'll surprise Troy once you see it live and you're playing against it. It is a pain in the butt sometimes because he will rush four guys, but definitely user a D end in the flat coverage, and that can throw you off sometimes when you're not expecting it when you play someone like that. So yeah, give me Southern Miss 10-point victory.
As our good buddy Lee Corso once said, not so fast, my friend, because I think you're forgetting one important thing that's happening here is Southern Miss is without their quarterback and their best defensive player in Block 7 because of rules infractions, right? Yeah, I see you, Pat. I see you, Pat. You didn't see that, so I'm going to catch one here. I think because of that, because we think it's going to be close with all their players, I think Troy gets the win with a backup quarterback for Southern Miss. Look, you can be a good passer, but if the guy can't throw, he can't throw. That's not your fault, right? I'm going to go with Troy in this one.
Wow. Wow.
No,
Attention to detail, 0 from
yep.
Coach Steve
I,
here.
I am changing my pick as well with the new information that's been disclosed. And I'll be picking Troy. Hey, one of the biggest, I was actually looking at the stats here while you guys were visiting. And I don't know if this is recent or, I mean, it would appear to me to be recent, but it looks like Troy is starting to utilize his backup quarterback as well. And it looks like he's got legs. He's got 12 carries for 57 yards. He's also thrown for 4 touchdowns, but he's only thrown 27 passes. So I would assume that this is fairly recent. He's went to this. I know my nephew played him in a scrimmage the other night and said that Troy ran a ton of option on him. And so I don't know if that's something new he's trying and stuff, but I think that that's going to be a big difference in the game. Penguin brought up the fact that these two quarterbacks touchdown to interception ratio. I know the starting quarterback for Southern Miss is out, but just to give you an idea, these two quarterbacks or two coaches have thrown 50 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. 50 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Absolutely insane. Two of the best offensive weapons probably in the whole Sun Belt this season are going to not be playing in the game, which is crazy. That Elijah Metcalf, the receiver for Southern Miss, 50 catches, 1,000 yards. The next best receiver, 26 catches for 300 yards. Big fall off there, and so I think that's going to be a big difference. I have Troy winning this one.
I think it's some of those stats too. I've seen Southern Miss hasn't put all their stats in, so they could even be higher, right? Like I think that's potentially the case too.
The winner of this
All
wins
right,
the
you get,
South, wins that Sun Belt South. The winner of this game is going to represent, or whatever side that is. They have the stupid division still, but the winner of this will represent their side in the Sun Belt championship game against James Madison. The West. There you go, Sammy. Thank you.
So the next game we spoke about earlier with CFP, the CFP reveal. This is just a win and in, possibly in game for Rutgers. I know he's got to win both. And then this is also if Smitty loses this, he's done. His season is over. This is easily the most difficult team he has left. It's just that run game at Penn State. I think he's going to steal possessions from Rutgers, who is a little bit ratings challenged compared to Penn State in this one. And with the ratings challenges and being on the road, I just think it would be irresponsible to not pick Penn State in this game. So give me Penn State by a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the deal. Smitty is our guy, right? I say that jokingly. We never know where he's at. Where's Waldo? Where's Smitty? The same thing. I can't imagine. I mean, yes, he's got 2 losses. I think most of us, we always have this conversation about Smitty. He's one of the best coaches in the league, right? Like he is. And I don't know why he's got. I don't know what's happened to him this year, or whatever. Not being undefeated or one. I know the schedule's tougher, right? But I'm with Pat. I think you got to pick Penn State here at home against a lesser rated team, and I'm going to go with the Nittany Lions as well. But Rutgers has his back against the wall, right? So maybe he comes out with something we're not. Maybe Smitty's not ready for.
So I don't think this game gets played. That's my hot take. I don't think the game gets played. I think that this game ends up not getting played for whatever reason. I'm not sure Rutgers plays the last 2 games. We've seen the same story again. He's already had a sim game earlier this season for inactivity in Rutgers. And so I saw Smitty trying to play the game the other night and for whatever reason couldn't play it. And so I'm just wondering if of one of these 2 games I don't think is getting played, whether it's the Ohio State or Penn State game. I just don't think it's getting played. If they do play it, I have Penn State winning for the same reason as Pat said. Penn State's going to steal possessions and run the ball, and they're going to be able to score. They're going to keep it kind of low scoring, control the clock, and Rutgers is going to kind of press, and I have Penn State winning.
It's quite the take, and it makes a lot of sense. I can definitely start to buy what you're selling there, Tim. But assuming the game is played, I gotta think that home field is gonna be a significant factor. That Penn State defense, despite all the changes since the beginning of the year and downgrades is still full of animals, and I mean that's a really tough place to come in and play. Smitty's got his back against the wall. I guess we'll find out. This will be a great example, hopefully, see if Smitty with his back against the wall is a good thing or if he gets tight. If he stays focused, I think he perhaps even makes a statement here against one of the best coaches also out there. I mean, these guys both have the stick skills in the right situation to lift the trophy, no doubt. Will one of them anytime soon? We don't know, but I think Smitty keeps that hope alive with a big win here in this one.
Man, uh, oh, young MJ, please listen to me. Play the game. If you want to be in the NDL, play the game. If you do that again, I can't imagine that would go over really well with this group. But we did. I mean, Tim's right. We saw it before. Okay, last game on the list: Oklahoma and LSU. It's kind of goes back to the game a minute ago with Texas and Arkansas. If Oklahoma wants to be in the playoff, they have to win this game. If Penguin wants to stay up there in the rankings or potentially even fall out, he's got to win this game too, right? So what do we have to go off of? Well, I look at top 50 wins, top 25 wins. Both of them have nearly the same. I think Penguin maybe has one more. Uh, Oklahoma has the bad loss to Tennessee. Penguins loss to Arkansas, right? Which is not a terrible loss at this point. I'm going to go with LSU at home again here, right? Like I think Mort was so good last year. At the end, it kind of trailed off. This year, he's had a great start. It's kind of trailed off here toward the end. Is that a trend, or is that just the way things have gone for him? Coincidental, but I'm going to go LSU here in this one.
Biggest difference, I think, for this game for me is going to be the home field advantage. I think that obviously Penguin being able to play this game at home and probably one of the greatest atmospheres in college football, I think it's going to be a big difference in the game. Also, turnovers. I think LSU is going to win the turnover battle. I think that's ultimately being able to, capitalize playing at home and then, forcing Oklahoma into some big turnovers. I think that'll be the biggest difference. I'm really interested to watch these two teams to see who can establish the run game, right? I think whoever can do that is going to make it a lot easier on themselves. Obviously, I'm a big supporter of Penguin, even when he doesn't pick himself. I can't. There's no way I can pick against Penguin, and so I'm going LSU.
LSU's going to win this game, and we're going to win the game because we're going to prioritize taking care of the football. We're not going to be super conservative, but at the same time, you know, not making dumb choices. I mean, we hurt ourselves against in the games where we came up short this season. Granted, it's tough coaches and tough situations, so it's not like we're the only ones to blame. But still, it's taking care of the ball. We know what we got to do. It's a good opponent, but I mean, that's part of the reason we scheduled the way we did this season. We have had no strangers who play in tough games. Both Duke, Indiana, and Kansas State. They may not be near the top of the rankings, but anyone who's played those guys knows those are three tough games right there. And that's why we scheduled good coaches there to prepare ourselves for moments here. So we know who we are, we know what we can do, and we're going to win this game.
I'm going to make this one a clean sweep. I think LSU, we talked about when the game dropped, one of the fastest, if not the best teams in the entire game. Has the tough loss to Arkansas and then the other loss to Florida. But it's just great that we have probably an elimination game. Possibly. Would LSU be one of our first 3 lost teams let in if they got left out because of how tough the schedule is? That's only time will tell. But I think Penguin will just take care of business and take it out of any committee member's hands. So give me LSU by 10 points in this one.
And there you go,
Quick
Penguin.
quick question for you guys regarding picking games. Are we gonna want to commit to picking bowl games and stuff this year? Because honestly, there's a chance we may need a tiebreaker. Because right now, with that Iowa result right now, Tim is 1 game better than me. I am 1 game better than Hubbard, and Hubbard's 1 game better than Pat. So this
This
is
is
all
by
still
far the
very much
closest
up in the
season.
air.
Yeah, the closest season we
Yeah.
have. I wouldn't mind
Definitely
making the
close.
bull pick'em just kind of separate because the bull pick'em's fun. And be
Okay.
that outside of the CFP, and then maybe the CFP is when we just continue our game day pick'ems. And then the bowl games, we just do a collective, bowl pick 'em together, and that would be kind of fun.
I like it.
Man, it's been fun here. Appreciate you guys. We've had a lot of chatter in the chat and a lot of listeners this Sunday afternoon. We're gonna get going so Pack and watch his Bears try to finish out this game against the
Oh, look
Lions
at
here.
this. They just wait till the fourth quarter to wake up every week.
Yep. Just wait
Yeah.
until the fourth quarter. And so we appreciate it. You guys tuning in. We will be on the air the next time the CFP is released. I will get a definitive schedule on that, and I will make sure we update the chat and everything with when the next time the committee meet. I know they put out a schedule. I thought. Did anybody see the schedule? I thought they put one out in maybe in the chat.
I haven't seen one now.
Well, Rain put an announcement up. It sounds like everything ends on the 10th, which is not far away.
Yeah, that's
Right.
next weekend. The 10th would be next Saturday. If that is the case, next Sunday, the 11th, we would be meeting as long as the CFP is meeting again, the committee. But thanks for tuning in and listening to us, guys. We really appreciate it. Right now, there is an NDL game going on. It's USC Northwestern on the online streams. USC's up 21-7. It looks like maybe a beefy game, Michigan versus Oklahoma State or Oklahoma City.
Hey, and by the way, seriously, Tim, and anyone who's listening, there was a discussion in the live chat earlier of when the block ends. According to this announcement here, weeks 9 and 10 will be extended until next weekend, due to including both Christmas and New Year's. They will be due at the same time as weeks 11 and 12, Saturday 1 or January the 10th. So it does sound like we have 2 weeks to play the last block.
Yeah, 4 weeks. 4 weeks being closed on the 10th. That'll be a bunch of Sims will start getting these win losses ponied up. So awesome. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Have a good night, good weekend. NDL lives on.